Okay, I'm going to call the meeting order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask for a moment of silence now, please. Okay, thank you. I want to welcome everybody that's here and is viewing and will be viewing in the future. Next thing I'm going to go is roll call. Today I'll be starting. So, here, Commissioner Smith, Stephen.
Here.
Commissioner.
Here.
And Commissioner Cos will be absent this meeting. I think we got a public comment. We got a few on the public comment list. Did Cale come in here or was he not be able to make it? Okay, I don't see him. Okay, Joe? Okay. Joe Herring? Morning, Joe.
Good morning. Joe Herring, Herring Surveying, 315 North 5th Street. Appreciate your time this morning. Actually, I just received a text message from Kel stating he won't be here, so he does apologize for that. A couple of things on the agenda today. Have a plat that's on the consent agenda. Look forward to getting that accomplished. That one's been a long, painstaking process due to a dual city and county process. The other object is the Kel-Weehee rezone. It's back in front of you again today. And since Kel's not here, I know that he had a meeting with Mr. Stevens and everything. And the county had a chance last week to go over the comp plan in a work session. And discussions were made, and a plan was set forth to move on, and I'm sure more discussions will happen, but it still seems that this rezone meets the comp plan, even if it is adjusted according to that meeting last week. So appreciate your time for hearing it again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Lynch, Dan? Morning.
Hey, morning, guys. Dan Lynch, live at 19751 219th Street. So we had a meeting with Mike in regards to this Kel-Weehee plat. One of the things that I think it's hard for me to understand, and it doesn't really matter if it's where I guess it's at, if we have this pathway to development that we have where people can rezone their land into 2.5 acres, shouldn't really matter where it is. Ultimately, the market will decide how many lots Mr. Weehee puts out there. He's not going to put out 50 lots, but if he wanted to put out 50 lots, he could put out 50 lots, right? He could divide that up into 2.5 acre tracts. I don't think that's his decision to do. He was doing it merely to save and preserve for his for his cows, basically. That's what he was doing. So he wanted to go down 2.5 acre tracts. He wanted to maybe have 4 of those, and whether he has a plan or he doesn't have a plan shouldn't make any difference. So when we talked to Mike, I know there's a whole lot of people out there that think that we ought to preserve certain areas of this county. And right now that comp plan doesn't allow for that, okay? It allows for people to come before you guys and ask for this rezone. And if you give it to me, you should give it to him, because there's nothing in the plan that says that you shouldn't do that. So, and again, I think ultimately the economics will decide whether or not these lots sell or not. So nobody's going to go out there and put in this particular remote area, as they said, put in 50 lots. They're going to be slow to sell, and it's not something that, Kel's not going to be ignorant about that, but he should be able to rezone it to 2.5 acres.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Carol Loban, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Carol Lohman, 22398 Dempsey Road, Leavenworth, Kansas. I'm here today representing my family and the families of adjoining landowners who signed the certified protest petition in strong opposition on the request from Cale Weehee for rezoning property on Dempsey Road from RR5 to RR 2.5. The taxpayers of this community follow the rules set forth in your courthouse in this process. On October 6, 2021, in your BOCC meeting, this rezone request was presented. It did not meet the rules of a supermajority, and it was voted not to pass. The landowner had the opportunity to present his request. The public had our opportunity to protest. The public followed the rules. It is not your responsibility to allow the landowner to have special treatment and bring this application back to the BOCC before the 12-month rule. A decision was made on October 6 with the information provided in the application. To bend that rule that you should all abide by as representatives of Leavenworth County in the highest of power is wrong. This application should not be considered again until October of 2022 in accordance to your rules. The concept plan that has now been submitted by the landowner means nothing, which is what I was told by Planning and Zoning and also visiting with commissioners. There is no accountability to hold the landowner to his 4-plot concept plan. If this is passed, the total acreage will have the 2.5 zoning. This would allow for a full subdivision to be planned for and developed. This is the fact, and this could happen. This possibility, which this type of zoning would allow, does not fit the intent of the planned growth of the comprehensive plan. It is not planned growth coming out from the L, the Leavenworth, Lansing, Basser, Tonganoxie. It does not fit the character of the rural area. I challenge you to be aware that your comp plan and land use document is a guide. It is not set in stone. And that even though other applications have been approved, each application is unique in the reasons and how it should be applied. Just because this application did not pass, that is not a valid reason to bend your own rules. Please do not vote for this application until in the future the details are prudent to the design of the growth intended. Please hear the voices of our rural community. And now that we don't have a supermajority, how will this work?
It'll take 4, one way or the other. You still have to have 4 county commissioners vote the same way for it to pass. Last time it was 3-2, correct, Mark?
I thought it had to be a full slate of commissioners.
No, it has to be 4.
The majority of the full board,
Yeah.
or supermajority of the full board.
Is that correct, Counselor?
Mr. Chairman, in response to your inquiry, statute references in the presence of a protest petition that it would require a 3/4 vote of the board to approve, which in your case requires 4 affirmative votes.
So it would take
4
it'd
affirmative
take all the
votes.
county commissioners present today to approve this.
1, 2, 3. That is correct.
You must be an attorney. We can count. Thank you, David. Okay, so ma'am,
They
it'll
can
take-
count
it'll take
money.
4.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll take 4. That'll be
Full
it.
hours.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
3.
you.
3 today,
4.
since only 4 is here.
No.
4 anyway.
4 anyway.
4 in any case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilman, I'll talk to you later about counting process, okay? Let's move right along. Anything, okay, I've got the Veterans Day Proclamation, which I'm very honored and pleased to be able to read from the county. It's Leavenworth Board of County Commissioners Veterans Day Proclamation, November 11th, 2021. To all citizens of Leavenworth County, greetings. Whereas the greatest acknowledgement of our freedom is to honor our armed force veterans who have sacrificed and in many instances paid the ultimate price for our freedom. And whereas Leavenworth County recognizes and respects all of our Leavenworth County veterans and thank them for their many contributions. And whereas we, along with millions of other Americans, can attest to the importance of their sacrifices and contributions for our freedom and security. And whereas both men and women of our armed forces continue to be an inspiration to all of us through their demonstration of courage, leadership, commitment, and service to our community and country. And whereas in 1975, Congress voted to make November 11th Veterans Day in honor of our veterans, living and dead, who served in the armed forces. Whereas as we in Leavenworth County will always remember and pay homage to our military community, both active and inactive, for their contribution, dedication, and commitment to the cause of freedom. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in the observance of Veterans Day, Thursday, November 11, 2021, Leavenworth County proudly joins the rest of our nation to salute and give special honor and recognition to the men and women who served in our armed forces. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and affixed the seal of Leavenworth County this 10th day of November 2021 in Leavenworth County, Kansas. Michael Smith, Chairman, Leavenworth County Commission. So I am very pleased to be able to, I don't know if anybody had any comment, I'm very pleased that we did this. So
The board needs to thank all the veterans for their service.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay,
Mike?
yes, go ahead, Mike.
I had one item I wanted to put on, see if we could put on the agenda for next week for our consideration. As you know, our President of the United States has issued this OSHA regulation, OSHA Safety and Health Administration Emergency Temporary Standard, ETS, requiring vaccinations in the workplace, mandate. And I spent the evening on Monday at the school board meeting in Baser. There was over 100 parents there objecting to some of the mitigation and some of the things that are being foisted on our people by this. And I spent all day yesterday at a union meeting for the railroad because 2 days ago this document was issued, and BNSF now is saying that by January 2nd or 3rd we're going to mandate this on the folks. And this proposal would just say that basically the gist of it is that we'll send letters to our federal and state legislators urging them to not go along with this mandate, but I'll just read it real quickly. It would say the Leavenworth County Commission has facilitated thousands of vaccinations through the Leavenworth County Health Department, all on the basis of individual personal choice. And whereas taking the COVID-19 vaccination should remain an individual and personal decision, the Leavenworth County Commission, by passage of this resolution, officially stands in opposition to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration Emergency Temporary Standard, ETS, that was issued by the Biden administration mandating vaccinations by employers of over 100 employees and federal contractors. And we urge employers and employees as well as parents of school children to reach out to their local, state, and federal representatives to oppose this mandate. And the Leavenworth County Commission also calls for the Kansas legislature to convene in special session to pass necessary state legislation in opposition to federal vaccine mandates. Also, we urge our federal elected representatives to vote to suspend or nullify these federal edicts which undermine the authority of state and local governments in Kansas and undermine the authority of parents. We therefore urge the county administrator to prepare letters of concern to all of our state and federal representatives, informing them of the passage of this resolution, urging them to work to this end, to end the federal mandate. So I think we should have a discussion of whether we should send a letter on this. I think there's just a lot of concern out there on the part of a lot of people. I've talked to people who work for the post office. I've talked to people that work for different levels. And if we can bubble up from the ground up and let them know that we're very concerned and want them to put this on their level on their radar to deal with.
Is Kansas in the lawsuit?
I think that's the fifth. Are you talking about the one that's in the Fifth Circuit?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, is Arkansas in the Fifth Circuit? But it's just the Fifth Circuit, I think, right now.
And then do we fall under OSHA here?
Commissioner Smith, the interpretation of the mandate has come down would not include Leavenworth County.
That's kind of
Leavenworth
what I
County
thought.
would be covered by any state mandate, and my understanding is both the legislature and Governor Kelly have expressed no desire to impose such a mandate.
Just a point of clarification. By Leavenworth County means the Leavenworth County government.
Leavenworth County government.
But our citizens are going to be
Private
affected.
employers who
Private
fall
employers are
within.
different,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So would that be okay to put that on the agenda for next week?
Talk about it, yeah.
Yeah.
we don't have any control over private employers. That's the thing.
I think it's basically sending the letter of concern, basically.
Okay, we'll put it on the agenda for next week and discuss it. Okay, Mike, was that it?
That's it.
Okay. Mark,
I don't have anything.
David?
No.
Other county commissioners before we move on?
No, thank you.
Okay. Move on to item 6, consent agenda. Anybody need to pull anything off it?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 Right, completed. All right, moving on. Formal board action. 2021 general election canvass. Need to consider a motion to adjourn as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Board of County Canvassers.
Does the clerk have anything to say before we do that?
I thought we'd do it. We got
That
into
will
it.
be the first motion that you need to make.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Board of County Canvassers.
Second.
Motion and second. I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 All righty, we are there.
Today we are here to certify the November 2nd general election for City School. I have placed in front of you 2 different reports. One, a summary of all the votes, all the races that we had through advance and election day. We did have a total of 18.5% turnout. The other sheet I showed you, it's a canvas report, and it breaks down each precinct with the number of registered voters in that precinct, along with the number of votes cast, and it also includes a percentage by each precinct. So if anyone has any questions on that, I do also have reports per precinct if anyone would like to review those. This election, it did have a higher turnout than our normal city school elections, and I do think it was, there was a lot of campaigning and a lot of issues that were brought forth that did increase our voter turnout. There was a lot of write-ins. I do have each of the write-ins that we can discuss because there were certain races that I was notified that there was going to be a write-in campaign. And I'm going to tell you, I have worked with elections for a lot of years, and I've never seen as well-run of write-in campaigns as what happened during this election. There were none of the write-in candidates that did receive enough votes to be elected to that position, but it was substantial. We do have a breakdown. If any of the write-in candidates are interested in looking at those results, we certainly would have that available to them. Also, during this election, we had 2 races that did not have candidates file. The city of Easton had 5 council positions that no one filed for, and the Easton city mayor. The city of Linwood had 3 positions available for the Linwood City Council. 1 person filed, so we had to look at write-ins for those 2 positions along with all the positions in the city of Easton. I do not want to necessarily go over those write-in votes until after we do the provisionals, because so many of those races on candidates, when it's determined by write-ins, is a 1 vote difference. And so I think that it would be beneficial to the board and to the public to not look at those results until after we have counted those provisionals, because I think it will make, could make a big difference.
Okay.
Also part of today's certification of the election are two drainage districts. We have Big Stranger drainage and Lenape drainage. It is the obligation of those drainage districts to file for office. We do just a manual ballot that's sent out to several of the precincts where either Lenape or Big Stranger goes through that township. And so we will also certify that today. In order to kind of move along and be able to, discuss the write-ins and everything, I would like to look at the provisionals right off the bat so that my staff can go ahead and run those reports, bring them up here to you so that we can then continue with the canvass. Also on your desk you have a provisional ballot statistic report. We, during this election, had a total number of 85 provisional ballots. This report indicates what I would deem qualified and what I would deem not qualified. We, in researching each one of the provisionals individually, have determined that we would like to qualify 62 of the 85. Several years ago, there were regulations put in place as to what provisional ballot could be counted and what cannot be counted. As you can see, the majority are counted in this Leavenworth County election. There was 23 that were rejected, or what we deem rejected. Out of those, the majority is the voter that goes to vote that is not registered at all. And so due to that fact, we are not able to qualify those. So today, the first part of this canvass, I would like to have permission that we accept and reject, according to the report in front of you, the provisional ballots, so that we can go ahead, run those through, get a report up here to continue with the canvass.
I have one question. You had one ballot that was moved within the county and was rejected.
The reason is that they moved from Leavenworth City into one of the outer townships, so none of that ballot would have counted because none of the races were the same. If they would have moved from one address in Leavenworth City to another in Leavenworth City, just as an example, then that ballot would have counted.
Oh, okay.
Because the races would have been the same. So can I go ahead and move ahead with counting these provisionals and bringing those results up to you?
So do you need a motion?
No, I don't even need
I
a
have no problem with that.
No. Good.
And Jeff, you good?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to make a phone call and have my staff go ahead and run that report. Then I'll bring the write-ins back in. In speaking with our county counselor yesterday and talking about some of these write-ins for the city of Easton and the city of Linwood, because of maybe possibly being a one vote or several people receiving one or two votes, I would like to give that candidate or that write-in person the opportunity to either accept or decline.
Oh, yeah.
But David, we'll talk about that when I bring the final results up.
I have one question on that. If you have somebody gets 10, somebody gets 9, if the top person declines, then we can move. The second person can accept the position.
Yes.
All right.
And also, if somebody like won a mayor race and a city council race, they need to pick which one they want to accept.
And that's why it's really, it's difficult when you don't have a lot of voters and you have such, you don't have a lot of span in the number of votes that were written in. All right, I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, you ready for a motion to adjourn as Board of
Yeah,
Canvassers?
we can.
All right.
We'll
Then
come
I
back.
move that we adjourn as Board of County Canvassers and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
Motion is second. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now we can move on. We can come back to that other later. Okay. Consider a motion to increase compensation of jurors to $50 per day that are selected to serve on the jury. Gentlemen, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm here today to make two requests of the Commission and also to give a report on the status of our jury budget for 2022, which we're not even into yet, but I have bad news about that budget. We went for 15 months without being able to hold jury trials, from March of 2020 until June of this year. During that period of time, a number of cases piled up. We have a substantial backlog of cases, criminal and civil. We're not even trying civil cases yet, probably won't until sometimes maybe into the second quarter of 2022. We're concentrating on trying criminal cases to clear up that backlog. We have 200, in June, at the start of June, we had 250 criminal cases awaiting trial. Since that time, we've had not only the criminal court judge, but myself, who ordinarily hears civil cases, trying criminal cases every Monday to try to address the backlog. We've reduced the backlog by 70 cases. New cases are added as new charges are filed. Other cases get disposed of by pleas or dismissals or trials. We've had 21 trials in the 5 months since we started. The expenditure that we've made for those trials, not counting the November 8th trials, was a little over $37,000 for jury fees and mileage for the jurors. We have to summon approximately 300 jurors per week for these trials. Not that many actually report, anywhere from 40 to 90 report for each trial. Those jurors are paid according to compensation that's set by the county commission. Using this as a basis for what we anticipate our budget will need to be next year, the $75,000 that was approved, which was an increase and was the amount that we requested for jury fees when our budget was approved last August, is not going to be adequate to meet the demands. We were basing a lot on estimate, past history and the like, and now we have 5 months to gauge on how much we're spending. And we're spending about $1,700 a week on jury expense. And using that and projecting that for the next year, because we're not going to be able to clear the backlog, I would estimate at the rate we're going for another 13 months. So it'll essentially involve all of 2022. We're going to continue to spend about $1,700 a week. What that means is that would be an expenditure of about $88,000, which is more than the $75,000. We don't know for sure. We're not asking for any more money now, but just to alert the commission that we see that the budget figure that we presented and that was approved for next year is probably not going to be adequate. And that leads me to the next thing that I wanted to discuss, and that's to ask the commission for approval of raising compensation for jurors under certain circumstances other than what you did in 2019. In 2006, the legislature passed a statute which approved the authority of county commissioners to raise juror compensation for years, it had been $10 a day for jury service. Jury service is one of the most important obligations people have as citizens of our community, but $10 a day is really just a slap in their face for their service. The statute authorizes the county commission to pay jurors up to $50 per day. The commission, based on our recommendation in 2019, approved to compensate jurors for $25 for the first day of any trial and then $50 for each day thereafter. What I'm requesting at this time is that the commission amend the determination of jury fees, which is required under statute, to allow that those jurors who report on the first day and are actually selected to serve on the jury be compensated $50 for that first day of service. This would distinguish those that are reporting for jury trial and then are not selected for a jury. They would continue to be compensated for $25 per day. What this means is it would increase jury fees per trial by $300, because that would be the amount of the difference for the 12 jurors who are selected. Given the number of trials that we estimate for 2022, that's going to be an increase of $15,000 to compensate those jurors for that first day of trial. I believe that this is an important expenditure and one we'd ask the commission to approve. People that are reporting for jury service are reporting under health restrictions that we have to impose. We're exposing them to the risks of infection of the COVID-19 pandemic. They report. We've had no complaints from jurors serving. They come and perform their civic duty. It is a sacrifice to them personally and financially, and believe that the commission should recognize that by compensating jurors who are selected for any trial for $50 for each day that they serve. The other matter that I wanted to discuss, and this is the second request, we used to have bailiffs that were hired, and we used state personnel funds to do so. Years ago, based on budget cutbacks, all of our temporary hours, which were the funds that were used to compensate those bailiffs, were eliminated. We haven't had that. Court personnel then have served as bailiffs. Bailiffs are a required member of the trial process, so each jury trial is going to require a bailiff who's responsible for supervising and attending to the needs of the jurors. We have used court personnel for a number of years to perform the function of bailiffs, and that is something that will not change. We'll continue to do that. However, this year, and I would anticipate into 2022, we are in a situation where we are having trials in types of cases that we typically have not had trials in. That would be misdemeanor criminal cases and juvenile offender cases. 17 years ago, juvenile offenders gained the right to have their cases heard by a jury. Since that time, we've had very few, just one or two cases that have actually gone to trial. We anticipate that that's changing. The judge assigned to hear the criminal docket has indicated that she would anticipate that that is going to change and we're going to have more trials. Problem is we don't have a bailiff for the misdemeanor criminal cases or her cases, juvenile cases, for different reasons. The misdemeanor criminal cases that we're talking about, jury trials, we use a judge pro tem, which the county funds. He has no staff. He works alone, so he does everything for himself. So he has no staff to devote to being a bailiff. The juvenile court judge, her administrative assistant, who ordinarily would serve as a bailiff, is unavailable at the present time because of medical reasons. And so if we need a bailiff, we don't have anyone that can function in that role. So we would like to get the approval of the board for the expenditure to hire third parties, outside non-judicial employees as bailiffs to serve in those trials only. We'll continue to use administrative assistants and district judges where they're available, but for the kind of cases that I've described, we'd like to be able to have authority to hire bailiffs. We anticipate this is a generous approximation, so that this would be on the high end of what I would estimate. Up to 10 trials, to budget for up to 10 trials in 2022, and to compensate the bailiff at $15 per hour. So we'd anticipate that would probably be an expenditure of anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500. I'd like the approval of the commission to do that, and that's my request. If you have any questions, I'll.
I have a couple. When you consider them to retain non-core personnel, how do you go about selecting those folks that will serve as bailiffs? It's not part of the system itself at the time. I mean,
what we have in mind is retired court personnel or others that are familiar with the court process. Retired law enforcement have been used in the past.
Like we used to do downstairs when we came into the courthouse. People that are retired have been certified. Okay. The other question is, and this is just for my own thinking, what's the penalty, or how do you handle it when people refused to be a juror or come in to be selected as a juror? You get your notification, you don't show up. You don't call and say COVID-19. You don't say you're part of the case. How do y'all handle that?
That summons is a court order,
right,
for them to come in, and failing to abide by it can be treated as a contempt of court. They can be dealt with in that way. The last thing I think any court really wants to do is start hauling people in.
Well, I agree.
For that reason.
I agree.
This is we try to use every measure we can to make jury service as amenable and as considerate and respectful of the service that they're providing, to make it as easy as possible for them to communicate with them about their trial and the like. And we have about a 40% capture rate. So if we send out 100 summons, we're going to get 40 responses. Some of that is due to the transitory nature of the population in Leavenworth, and some of it is people just don't respond. I would say 40% is probably not just for Leavenworth, but is probably a representative of other courts.
Okay.
That's about what you can expect, is about a 40% return rate on jury summons.
So you're not having a problem even with that 40% getting people to sit in the jury box?
When you're summoning 300 jurors every week, 52 weeks a year, you can look at the juror population in Leavenworth County, and I think that before we're done with this backlog, pretty much everybody that's eligible to serve as a juror is going to get a jury summons.
Okay. Thank you. Doug, do you have anything?
No, yeah, I just want to know the qualifications you need to be a bailiff.
Yeah.
So.
Mike?
I didn't think you could get people out on work release.
Yeah. Go ahead, Michael.
Judge King, thanks for coming here, and appreciate everything you do across the street to keep us safe. Question I had, make sure I had it in my head, was the total then you submitted for $16,500, $15,000 for the first request and $1,500 for the second?
Right.
Okay.
And I also had indicated that our $75,000 budget, I think we're going to go over that by $13,000.
By how much?
By $13,000.
Okay.
At the rate that we've been using jurors since the 1st of June.
And that's next year's budget.
That's about $1,700 a week.
All right. Second question I have is, on the railroad, when I'm called, if a railroad employee is called to be serving on a jury, we can take our $10 and turn it into the company, and they compensate us for a day's pay. Is that typical of some of the companies that you're seeing, or is that atypical?
I don't really have hard information. My assumption, and lawyers are not supposed to make assumptions. So speaking as a non-lawyer,
nice try, Mike. Nice try, Mike.
Would be that most employers do not compensate jurors for jury service.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There is no statutory requirement that a private employer or a public employer pay a juror that $10 a day. If they want to squabble over that, that's fine. If I could offer one observation, years ago we located records from the territorial court that was actually located in Troy, Kansas, but it also covered Leavenworth County. And at that time, the governing body, because there was no county, was paying jurors $5 a day. That was in 1856. Now, I can't give you an exact figure, but I would suggest that if you were to adjust that $5 by inflation, it'd be significantly more than what you're being requested today. One of the reasons people resist jury duty, Commissioner Smith, to address your concern is it's financially punitive. You're asking people to basically pay for the obligation and the privilege of serving as a juror. It takes their time, it takes money. So any increase you can give to jurors' fees, I would suggest to you is more than warranted. And again, I can't calculate it, but it was $5 a day in 1856.
So I guess I could be thankful for that union contract, huh?
Yes.
I did have a question.
Go ahead, Doug.
I guess this would be for Mr. Lawfrey. Any of these expenses, would they be allowable under the American Recovery Act money?
Yes, they would. The thing I would say is that obviously these are obligations that we're required to fund.
Yes.
I think the judge is being very nice about coming and asking, but honestly, it's an obligation of the county. The funds for this, and while it's significant in relation to their budget, it's not all that significant in relation to the fund that they're located in. So we handle any budgetary adjustments at the end of the year, and we would be reviewing this and keeping an eye on it. But usually in December, which you're going to see here in the next month and a half, you will have a budget amendment for anything like this that would come up.
Okay.
And my question was like,
I understand that for the amount that we're expending for jury fees, that we don't need to get your approval to spend that every week. That's set in our budget and is an obligation the county has. But I am concerned about if the commission is going to approve the raising of juror fees for the first day for the jurors who are selected to serve on the jury from $25 to $50, that the board needs to act on that in some way, because the statute says the board shall determine jury compensation.
Understood. Jeff, did you have a question?
it was just to piggyback off of Doug's question. If the ARPA funds, if it qualifies under the ARPA funds to use those to pay this, but would there be an issue of an increase when we ask for the ARPA funds to be used for that? That won't matter, will it? It was 25. Now we want to use ARPA funds to cover the increase. Is that
Commissioners,
doable?
again, while ARPA funds would be eligible, because of the reporting and tracking, we will probably continue just to fund it with the general fund as it currently is.
Okay.
It's not a significant enough expense to where it would merit the additional reporting requirements of using ARPA funds.
I need a motion.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I move to increase compensation for jurors to $50 per day that are selected to serve on the jury.
Second. Motion and second. Any more discussion? Aye.
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 You have a second item on there too.
Okay.
Ready for another motion?
Yeah, sure.
You want to do it?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the court to retain non-court personnel to serve as jury, trial, bailiffs in limited circumstances.
Second. Motion and second. Aye.
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 Go.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, this is usually out of order, but did you have something? You're fine. Thank you.
I have a question about that. Danny Zach's my name. Questionnaire.
Mr. Zach, could you come up to the mic for us, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
So maybe in the questionnaire that you sent out, the person signs for and answers questions. If you have an option there, whether they even get paid or not, they can opt out getting paid if they so desire, because there's no question that even says anything about
Just do it for duty,
an
just for
opt-out.
service.
Or civic
That's
duty.
just civic duty.
Because us retired people sometimes,
Yeah.
we're
Got you a volunteer for bailiff, it looks like.
At the end of the trial, they fill out the employer's form and stuff like that, and if they want to decline compensation, they would do it at the end of the trial.
That's great.
And another thing, when they go through the COVID mask thing, if if they make mask optional instead of the lawyers get to control if there's a mask or not, they might get more jurors.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sick. All righty. We're going to come back and.
Ready to retire?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn as a Board of County Commissioners and convene as a Board of County Canvassers.
Second. Start the roll call.
This is
What do you say? What do you say? Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Now go right ahead.
Keep us moving.
That's all right.
Okay. So we ran those provisionals. It did not make any difference in any of the races that were listed on here. Still the same winners. But I do have two spreadsheets here, so let's just talk about the city of Easton first. Okay?
Okay.
We had 5 people receive write-ins for the city of Easton mayor. Phil Myers, Kent Edmonds, Russ Gildner, Shannon Hadley, and Tammy Connell. Out of those, Philip Myers received 11 votes. Russ Gildner received 10 votes. Kent, 2, Shannon and Tammy each 1. So according to these write-ins, Philip Myers would be the city of Easton mayor.
Okay.
Right?
By 1 vote.
By 1 vote.
Every vote counts.
That's why
Go
there
ahead.
was 1 provisional that he received a vote. So you can see when we're talking, it made a difference with these provisionals. Okay, city council. We had 11 people receive write-in votes for the city council of Easton, of which there were 5 vacant positions. Out of these, the top 5 would be Russ Gildner, receiving 15, Tammy Connell, receiving 22, Shannon O'Donnell Hadley, 18, Amanda Brune, 17, and Christopher Weinman, 10. We did check our voter registrations on these individuals to make sure that they were registered in the city of Easton, because of course that would be a qualification that they would have to meet. Our next one in line, in case someone does decline, would be Nathan Jackson, having 9.
Okay.
So at this point, there were no tie votes, and if these write-ins accept their position, they will receive the certificate of election. And I will contact them. I will also contact Becky Jones, the city clerk of Easton. Does anybody have any questions on this?
Let's say you had 2 of them that declined and we didn't have enough write-ins, then the commission or the city council itself would then appoint.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly right. It would work the same as any, like a township board.
Vacancy.
Well, I take that back because you appoint the township board. But the city would appoint that qualified elector.
Had to do that before. Yep.
Jan, can you say that one more time? The council members is
Yes.
Russ.
And I will give you a copy of this, Jeff, because this will be important. You may have some phone calls.
Okay.
Russ Gildner, 15. Tammy Connell, 22. Shannon O'Donnell Hadley, 18. Amanda Brune, 17. And Christopher Weinman, 10.
Okay. And Nate Jackson is the next
9.
alternate. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. City of Linwood. As I said, they had 3 open positions. 1 position was filed for David Denham, I believe. So then I had 4 write-ins, one of which was not registered in the city of Linwood, so he would not meet the qualifications. So then I have Dylan Ritter receiving 2 write-in votes, and I have Anna Johnson receiving 1, and Gwen Smith receiving 1. So, depending upon what these write-ins want to do, it could come down to a flip of a coin, a draw of a short stick. But I would like to give them that opportunity, if that's all right by the board.
I'm fine with that. Everybody else fine? Yeah.
When you're looking at the statute on this, let's just say they both want to accept it. I do believe that that would be done in front of the Board of County Commissioners as part of this canvas.
We've had them in Lansing flip before, come down like it. You're right.
Anyway, so that's part of the certification. The other part is my drainage districts. Okay. Big Stranger Drainage, we had 3 people filed. There was 3 open positions. Thomas Flynn, William Norman, and Larry Tice. Those were the only write-ins, or there were no write-ins. They did actually file. And so as part of the canvas, we will determine then that they are the Big Stranger Drainage Board of Directors. Lenape Drainage, there was 3 open positions. 3 people filed, and those 3 people received the votes to be on the Lenape Drainage District. That's Thomas Kelly, Stacy Schmidt, and Mark Tinberg. So that is also part of the certification for today's canvas. That's all I have. At this point, if anyone in the public has questions, or if the board has any questions. Otherwise, we will need a motion to certify the November 2nd, 2021 City School General Election.
Any questions from anyone in the audience? I don't see any questions from any of the county commissioners. If not, then I'll entertain a motion to certify.
So moved.
Second. Motion to certify the 2021 general election. Any other comments? I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 Aye. Very good.
One vote counts, doesn't it?
It really does.
Another successful election.
Yeah. Very well done again. Need to consider a motion to adjourn as the Board of County Canvassers and Ravine as the Board of County Commissioners.
You made that motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll second it.
Motion a second. Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
You do
you.
not have to sign it now, but if all of the commissioners would please sign this.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you and your staff for pulling off another election. It shows that
Great
your
job.
staff did an excellent job of explaining the write-ins to big folks, that they had success, that they did a really good write-in campaign.
Yeah, that's true.
It's, just in looking at these results, April Cromer did a write-in for the 469 unexpired term, and she received 651
I saw that. Yeah.
write-ins.
Yeah.
We had Nate Stroop and Richard Zamora, who ran write-in campaigns for USD 458, and Nate received 634 write-in votes, and Richard Zamora 556.
That's
a lot.
That's a lot for a write-in.
I'm just,
Well, that's a good thing. We get more people involved, get the people talking about what's going on. I think that's great. Very well handled again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a consider motion to approve the service agreement with Merchant McIntyre.
Commissioners, this is the item we discussed last week, and actually probably over a month ago, I think we initially started talking about this. This is an agreement to engage Merchant McIntyre and Associates to assist the county with pursuing federal funds.
Jeff.
And this is along the lines of going after the pilot checks, payment in lieu of taxes from the federal government. We're not giving up on that, but we kind of came across this opportunity along the way.
It's a good idea, Joe.
I called all of the clients. Merchant McIntyre gave us a list of current clients and past clients, and every single one of them could not talk highly enough about Merchant McIntyre. Getting them millions of dollars, not just small grants. These are multi-million-dollar grants. So it's an answer to the pilot check, I guess, for right now.
I'll start the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the service agreement with Merchant McIntyre.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion, board?
And this, if
Go ahead, Doug.
it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But if they bring in more money than what we're paying them, it's obviously going to be a good deal for the county.
It's a good opportunity, I think. You're right, Doug.
That's it.
Yeah, I'll start the roll call. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
That's okay. Very good. Consider a motion to approve Resolution 2021-51, a rezone request from RR5 to RR 2.5. Morning.
Aye.
Commissioners, before you is a request Resolution 2021-51, which is a request to rezone 3 parcels from RR5 to RR 2.5. This did go before the Planning Commission, where they did recommend approval of 9-0. It came before this body on October 6th, where it failed to get the majority due to the protest petition. But we have received since that day a proposed concept plan for what their intentions are for the property in question. So if you have any further questions, most of the analysis is in the staff report.
Yeah, good write-up. Commissioners?
Questions?
I just have one comment about it.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I did have a lot of conversations about this matter, and I know Amy was in on some of them. And I think people should know that their commissioners are taking it seriously about when we have large tracts of undeveloped agricultural land. We're taking that seriously. We're looking at the character of the neighborhood. We're taking it. We're very concerned about looking at those issues. And there was a very big difference to me now that I know that his intentions are only a very limited development, and he assured me of that. So as a county commissioner from the 5th District, I assure you that I'm looking at that issue. I'm looking at character of the neighborhood when these things come up. And I was convinced by the gentleman that his only intention is exactly as stated here, a very limited development, and that he is not intending to have a subdivision. Now, do I understand that when we rezone this, yeah, I understand there are certain rights that come with that, but I have to take him at his word. And maybe I'm wrong to take him at his word. But I do, unless I have any reason to not take him by his word, I'm going to take him by his word that this is simply for posterity and for the future family, passing it on. And it does fit within the 2.5. However, I did not feel like at the time it came, we didn't know any kind of a formulation as to what his intentions were, and I certainly don't believe a large subdivision does fit the character of that neighborhood, but what he's planning does. So I feel I can support it.
Any other comments? The only comment I'll make before we take the vote is I get, and I've supported it, but I really get challenged up here when we have a thing that says we'll wait a year. I think we need to look at that, and maybe I'm reading that wrong. County commissioners can change and do whatever they want, but when things like this come up, I'd sure like to have those worked out before we have to send it back. Again, at the same time, I approved it before. I haven't changed my mind, but I wanted to make that comment. Anybody else want anything to say before we vote?
Yeah, I think that on the exception, the reason I'm willing to make an exception to the 1 year part is I don't think the applicant was aware of how seriously I take knowing what the character of the neighborhood's going to be, and he wasn't aware of that. So I don't think we should use procedure issues just saying, we know this will be approved in a year, but we're going to procedurally because it wasn't exactly handled right, we're going to delay it for a year. I don't think procedures should be used in this case.
Well, I guess what I'd answer that, Mike, is maybe the vote shouldn't have come because we want to have all the information before we make a decision on something like that. Again, I believe in it. I agree with what was presented. I just want to make sure that when we're doing things, there's no look like this is what the rule says, and I know the rules can be changed. So maybe in that instant we're talking about, because I know you went and did your homework, good, but maybe we should have just brought that one back. It's just a thought, because when you got a year on the books and then you bring it back before then, again, at the same time, I agree with what you said, Michael. Okay, so I need a motion to approve Resolution 2021-51, a rezoning. I'm sorry.
If I could, and this is more procedural, but not to be obstructive in any means, if the motion could also contain language that the board adopts by reference the findings on the golden factors as submitted to and approved by the Planning Commission.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just need to disclose that I received a letter because of within 1,000 feet of this. It's not going to change how I vote. I mean, I voted on these rezones consistently as long as it followed the comp plan.
Right.
So
Okay.
disclosing that, I received a notice.
Anything else?
For full disclosure, Sunday, I believe, I had a meeting with the Berries and the Lomans about this exact subject matter. Didn't pose them an opinion or what I was going to vote either way, but I just want to disclose that we had a conversation about it.
You know what I like about that, Jeff, is people feeling comfortable to reach out to the county commissioner and talk. That's what it's all about. So I'm glad that happened, man. Any other comments?
I would just say one thing about there's wonderful people on both sides of this, and
Yes.
so often we get into these land issues
I agree.
where there's a no-win situation. And I know that no matter how I vote or how the rest of us vote, it's going to make somebody unhappy. And I don't want to do that, but at the same time, the bottom line is it's his land, and we have to respect his rights to his property.
There you go.
And I think,
rights.
and I think the work sessions that we have planned next week and ongoing reviewing of the comp plan will reveal that we're pretty much all on the same page. This conversion from the 5 acre to 2.5 is about preserving farm ground. We talked to planning and zoning about changing the front footage on the 2.5 acre tracts to be the same as the 5 acres. So you're just not going to force somebody to take 5 acres and waste the back 2 or 3 acres is all that it's doing.
And you still got to comply with the access management policy.
And I think your proposal would make it so the number of houses would not change.
Exactly. This is about preserving ag land.
And I continue to be supportive of anything we can do to make the preservation of some of where we have the last remaining large tracts, whatever we can do to keep a little bit of agriculture in our county.
We already have that.
Yeah.
Stranger Creek area where it's all floodplain.
Well, that's
True.
true.
That's what
What was the
10,
percentage?
15%.
17?
17%
17%
of the county is in
is
floodplain.
always going to
That's
be.
in flood.
Yeah, so that'll be okay.
So that's preserved.
That is true. That is
That's a good
preserved.
number.
Okay, anything else? I will, I think we got a motion second, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Okay, start the roll call again. Aye.
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 Okay, it is approved. Next item, consider a motion to approve a 5-year lease for 2022 Case Compact Track Loader in amount not to exceed $10,611.72
Annually.
annually.
I forgot to add that in there. You
So
know you
that's a
don't get
deal.
a
I was getting ready to
track
say,
loader for
okay.
$10,000.
Okay.
This is the extension off of us selling a piece of equipment that was not meant for the purposes we were using it for. So the 1575 John Deere tractor sold on Purple Wave yesterday for $31,500. This is the piece of equipment that will be replacing it.
You got 3 years of lease right there.
Correct, sir.
Get a better price than that. Wow, okay. Any questions? Take a motion.
Need a motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move we approve a 5-year lease for a 2022 Case TR270B compact track loader that includes a 5-year extended warranty.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 It is done. Okay. Consider a motion to approve addendum from ACI Boland to plan and design space for the Guidance Center Crisis Stabilization in amount not to exceed $74,500 from ARP funds.
Again, this is the extension of our work session last week. We met on the K-State extension as well as the crisis stabilization. The board, when they met originally, had looked forward to moving forward. While the Guidance Center does have funding to put towards this, a large portion of our bill will be on the county to move forward. Any questions on it?
I think we talked about it, but go ahead. Okay.
I just have a comment on
Go ahead, Mike.
the whole conversation at our work session. I think I'm very fine with what we've decided, but I'm concerned about remodeling for all the other agencies. Really haven't. I mean, the cost of that. You know, I'm concerned about that because we're paying for the remodel here, but what about when these other agencies, you know? We could, yeah, and we could, I mean, it's easy when you have these funds, it's easy, you know, we have $16 million to say, well, but it whittles down really fast.
We were going to have to do this building anyways. You know, we couldn't have just left that building set, and we couldn't have used it like it was either, so.
Right.
This is just something we was going to have to take on. I mean, if we had to build that building,
We didn't have the funding available?
yeah, or find a place in Leavenworth that would met our needs
Yeah.
for all of our apartments that we're putting in there. I mean, I understand it's a large number, but it's.
I just want us to be careful as we
I know.
deplete
Goes
the money.
quick, I know, Mike.
Where would we be without it, though?
Yeah.
Without that building and without, I mean.
So,
Any questions? Do we have a motion yet?
I don't think so.
Let's get one then.
Motion yet.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve ACI Boland to plan and design space for the Guidance Center Crisis Stabilization Unit in the amount not to exceed $74,500 from the ARP funds.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. Any discussion? I'll start the roll. Aye.
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 6, okay. Okay, another one. Consider a motion to approve an addendum from ACI Boland to plan and design space for the K-State Extension Office in an amount not to exceed $66,570 from the ARP funds.
No, not from the ARP fund.
Oh, it's not.
It's not a-
No.
Oh, amount not to exceed from.
That's an error on
That project currently does not qualify for the ARP funding.
That's right. We talked about that. Okay.
So this will, Mark, which is coming out of general
general
fund.
funds.
If they pass the legislation,
Flexibility.
we can still plug it in later.
Amended. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Okay. Any other Not, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve ACI Boland to plan and design space for a K-State Extension Office in the amount not to exceed $66,570.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. Any more discussion? I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
March on, young man. Consider a motion to approve bid pricing from VLP Equipment for a 5-year lease for one 2022 Case Track loader for an annual amount of $78,946.50. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just to correct that, that is the total cost, the 5-year lease. That's not a yearly cost that was displayed there, much like this is the same program as Aaron's. The annual cost was $15,789. This is a little bit larger machine than.
Well, we've got a lot of things with a nod and not annual stuff that really changes this. But go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, annually we could have about any piece of equipment for that under government leases. But we received 3 bids for this item. It is a 114 horsepower case skid loader. It will run our forestry head. Has a high flow. Has a full 5-year, 5,000 hour lease with warranty and fluids and filters. You guys have any questions?
Do you sell anything on Purple Wave to pay for these leases?
We, unlike buildings and grounds, are waiting until we were able to secure these because we didn't know what the turnaround on this machinery was. We didn't want to have a lapse of 6 months or something. I think they're anticipating these machines being here in March, so we'll immediately put the current Bobcat skid loader that we have that I presented as surplus a couple weeks ago.
Right.
On Purple Wave.
Okay.
As soon as we have a delivery date.
Do you think you'll have them by March?
Well, that's what they indicated. That's what Case indicated. This is a newer skid loader. It's their largest one that they do make. It has the attachments for the forestry head, and they were indicating they would have availability much faster than the other suppliers. I'll believe it when it shows up on our lot.
Okay.
And this is a budget item with available funds, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
Rubber stamp.
That's it.
Chairman, I move we approve a lease for a 2020 Case TV 620B track skid loader for 5 years. Total amount not to exceed $26,511.75. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say-
$15,789.30. Correct that.
Okay.
Second.
I was starting to look at my numbers here. A motion, a second. Any more discussion? I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 If you or I were leasing that, that's what it would cost us, the 26.
Yeah,
They get a really good lease break on government.
that's great. It's a lot of money. Okay, I consider a motion to accept bid from Ebert Construction for HP 19 bridge replacement project for amount not to exceed $1,669,686.35.
Commissioners, we received 5 bids last week for the replacement of HP 19 on County Route 10. This project is ready for immediate construction. Utilities have been relocated per the utility locates that we did receive. Below the engineer's estimate for the project. The current structure does have issues and has been there for a considerable amount of time. This bridge did last approximately 100 years.
Questions?
Needs replaced.
Yep. Okay, if there's no questions, I'll take a motion.
It's the north end of the county.
You want it, Jeff?
Sure. Lost my place. Consider motion. Mr. Chairman, make a motion that we accept the bid from Ebert Construction for HP 19 bridge replacement, not to exceed $1,669,686.35.
Second it. Motion is second. Any discussion? I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 All right. Glad to see that. Next item, consider a motion to accept the proposal and bid from Finney and Turnipseed for the biannual bridge inspection in an amount not to exceed $48,000.
Commissioners, we did advertise this RFP both on Drexel, the county website, and sent it directly to 5 different engineering firms for their direct viewing. We did receive 3 proposals back. The varied in price from $87,000 to the $43,000 proposal. Previous past experience with Vinny and Turnseed, they do a very thorough job. They had helped bring us into compliance in my previous position with the state standards. The request does include a $4,579 contingency for unforeseen issues. We do have some expectations that we will see some reevaluations now that we are having a fresh set of eyes and a new contractor look at our bridges. As you guys are aware of the issues that we had previously had.
Yeah. Roads being closed right after they got inspected.
Just a little bit.
Signed off on it. Bridge is fine.
Any comments? Questions?
No, it's just something we have to do.
Yep. Take a motion.
Motion to accept proposal and bid from Finney and Turnip Seed for the biannual bridge inspection in an amount not to exceed $48,000.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion, questions? Okay, I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 It is approved. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Hey, Bill, how's Eisenhower? It's looking good.
They started surface course paving yesterday.
Yeah.
They backfilled a portion of the box culvert down by the industrial park with some flowable fill concrete, so they didn't have to wait the curing time.
Mm-hmm.
They're paving the sidewalk going east to 20th Street. So,
good.
Hopefully, we've got a narrowing asphalt window, but we're confident in the 10-day forecast. It looks like Monday and Tuesday next week are going to be good days. They have about 2 days left to pave the rest of the surface. Paving will be complete. I'm not exactly sure where they ended up on yesterday for the sidewalk, but the sidewalk coming down east at 20th Street's in process. They were getting concrete delivered yesterday, so I'm expecting tentatively the contract. Obviously, they have until December 31st, but we're hopeful to see a couple weeks prior to that, possibly for some completion dates. It would kind of depend on some of the punch list items and the weather we have between now and then, but it's coming along.
Hoping the ribbon cutting would be in nice weather.
Well, your coat
Sometime we have 60s in December 15th would be.
You never know.
We could have 60s or we could have 6. So
6. Yeah, 6
it'll
inches
be
of snow. And that's going to be a good one.
Signal poles are up at 20th Street.
Get the asphalt laid, and a couple weeks later you're plowing snow off of it.
City will be plowing snow off of it.
That's true.
Yeah. So
good clarification.
So we're hopeful that, and just a little update, the other bridge the road closure on County Route 25 down on 206th Street is coming along. They were paving it also yesterday. Should be grooving the deck today with their grooving, and looking forward to, as long as we don't get rained out too many days, which it doesn't look like we're going to, that roadway should be open by mid next week.
Oh, that'll make a lot of people happy.
It will. Very good. Thank you.
Not as many as Eisenhower.
That
will make a huge amount of people happy.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Before we go to first session, we have I'm going to go ahead and additional public comment needed. I've got, I think, Joe, did you want to speak again? Hello again.
Hello again, Joe Herring, Surveying, 315 North 5th. Appreciate you allowing me to have this moment, late notice, and I believe everybody received an email concerning it, and it just comes from that work session on the new plat submittal process and the 26-day window to have 100% approval prior to going. I know that's the direction the board indicated in the work session, was unaware that it would go into effect immediately and affect previously already submitted plans kind of retroactively. Would think that those would be treated under the same process because we had already applied and been through. And one of the projects has been going on for a year with a rezone sewer. I guess policy had to be rewritten, and to push them off another 30 days is, we're just asking not to apply that rule until one, it's board. If it was board approved at the work session, then it's board approved. If it wasn't board approved, then I feel it has to go through the approval process. But two, don't make it retroactive on plats and projects that were submitted already.
Did we approve that, or did we kick it to the Planning Commission work session?
Procedural items like that do not require either board or planning commission approval. It's just it was a clarification to the board to make sure that it was acceptable during the work session.
And so when we adopted the building codes, that was, we officially adopted building codes.
Building codes, right? Yep.
And then that's when we, on the building codes part, we did allow for stuff that was already in the queue to be grandfathered in, I guess, on the old.
It's already started, yeah.
Okay. So that's
what Joe's, I think, he's trying to follow back on.
If that's all it took was the work session to get it approved, yes. But to approve it retroactively and already have it affecting projects were
already
in the queue already.
Commissioners, I just a point of clarification, and that is that one, there's a process for these things, and that would be that if this is creating an undue hardship, I would expect to know about it more than 30 minutes before a board meeting for your consideration on anything. Two, it's also the first I heard about it. Mr. Herring, in the past, we've worked out issues like this where I've worked with him, and I think that's the right process, is to maybe contact me first and see about working through these items, because it's a procedural item. And if there is an undue hardship, I absolutely 100% will have staff work with Mr. Herring so that we don't create a new procedure that impacts an existing application. I'd work that out with him. I just didn't get the opportunity to.
Okay, so we could put that back in your hands?
I would appreciate that.
I would too. Being a past city manager, I understand what you're saying. You understand what he's saying too. I mean,
yes, I understand.
It doesn't mean it's going to go against it. It just means the process should be coming through the county administrator. That's all.
Right. I just never assumed that it would get retroactive.
No, I understand. We understand that. But let's put it back. If everybody's okay, let's put it back in Mark's hands, and I'm sure it can be worked out.
I just don't want to see it delay
I don't think
whatever you're developing.
No, you make a good point. I agree with you. But I just like to see the process be handled through.
And I'm sure that, based on past experience, I'm sure that Mr. Herring is not asking for a special exception or anything like that. It's just a clarification.
Just procedure thing.
Definitely work.
I think we're on the same sheet. We good?
Good.
Okay.
Appreciate it again.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's your 2 times for the day, Joe.
There's no third.
3 strikes.
There's no third.
You're out.
There is no third.
We'll have you escorted out on the third one, Joe. Okay, let's go back to presentations. Mark, before I go down the account, do you have anything else for the?
No, sir.
David? Okay, I'll start. Veterans Day parade tomorrow. Hope to see everybody out
there.
Hope to see everybody out there. It's always a good thing.
And do we need to disclose that all the commissioners are going to be in one vehicle for the parade?
I'm not going to be there.
We'll be in the back.
Yeah.
So it'd be 2 in the front, 2 in the back.
I think as long as the public knows.
No, because we have that
Members
breakfast.
of the commission, if you will give your scouts honor that you will not discuss county
business
while you were in the vehicle, it is okay.
Mike's not coming?
Mike's not riding with us.
No, because we have that breakfast in
Okay, so it'll be 2 in the front, 2 in the back.
That's my story, and I'm
There you
sticking to it. Okay. Anything? I don't have anything else, Doug.
I just got Bayshore City Council night, and I also noticed the Harbor Freight parking lot getting paved yesterday. It looks like it's going to make its opening.
Yeah, they're trying. Now the weather's been.
Yeah, no, I'd say the weather can do whatever it wants now.
Yeah.
Looked like they had the crane setting AC units, stuff like that.
Inside too, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that opening.
Yeah.
And the sales tax coming into the county and the city of Lansing.
I think there's some checkbooks that are not looking forward.
Yeah,
to
I'm
that
not.
opening.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I spent
of
4 hours in a Harbor Freight.
Yeah, it's not hard to do.
I think it's our duty that we
Spend money.
patronize it there on the grand opening and go from there.
I agree, Doug. Anything else?
No, sir.
Commissioner? Mike?
Tomorrow we're having the breakfast at the 1866 Bar and Grill there in Tonganoxie. Jamie Van Houten from Community Corrections is speaking, and we have a pretty good number of folks that are have already signed up to be there, and breakfast burritos, and we still have some space. Everybody's invited. I think we have an interesting time learning about community corrections, and then I've told some of them if you need to slip out at 9:45 to get down to the parade, that's fine too. We also, Commissioner Culberson and I met with Ryan Barrett from the Department of Transportation, and we had a good conversation and learned some of the procedures, and we're going to try to keep that as an ongoing conversation, and he's a pretty good guy. Let's see here if I can read my own writing. I went to the Baser School Board meeting, and they have changed for the senior high kids are not. They had about 100 parents there, and they asked that the mask mitigation rules be changed, and they have changed them. So waiting on the younger kids still after the first of the year.
Right.
Also, we met, Commissioner Culberson and I met with two newly elected city commission members here in city and talked about economic development. And I think they're going to be, I think if we get everybody headed in the same direction, get the Titanic moving in the same direction, that maybe we can keep it from sinking.
There's no doubt, Mike, there's some positive things that can come with all of us.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad to hear y'all did that.
And I think they're going to be open to a really good relationship between the county and the city.
I hope so.
So,
anything else, Mike?
That is all.
All righty. Sorry I couldn't make the breakfast. That does sound interesting, though. Jeff?
I just wanted to reiterate what Commissioner Stevens said. We met with Ryan at KDOT. I think that's going to work out really good. Just for an example, I called him about the potholes on K7 Highway in my district that's been there for several years.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, after I talked to him, they were out there repaving K7 Highway. I called him about the cones on 4th Street, Main Street in Lansing, right in front of Home Depot, TSC. We called Ryan the next day. They were those cones were sitting there for 5 weeks with no construction work done whatsoever. So everybody wondered, why are the cones still there? Bottlenecking that into one lane there were several traffic accidents. Rush hour was backed up all the way to the VA. So
I think to go even further with that, and Jeff and I talked about that, and I contacted the city too, and they had holes underneath where those combs were, but there was no reason for those holes not to have been filled so we could open up those lanes. So what the conversation happened from your end and then happening with down to the municipal thing, you're right, they were gone. And people are happy because I'll be glad the intersection gets open. It's going to be great, but boy, it's moving infrastructure and everything else, Jeff, it's just been I get those calls too, yeah.
Yeah, so Ryan's very interactive.
I like hearing that.
You know, like I say, we asked them about the cones. And you talked to the city the next day; they were gone.
That's great.
And he's very interested in helping us with all of our projects. 152 Bridge and et cetera. Also had Easton City Council meeting the night before the election, so it's a good thing that happened because none of them knew they were supposed to be on the ballot, so we got that worked out. And then the parade, I was going to mention that we're going to be on that.
Okay, any alibis? Anything else? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second. Aye.
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 All right. Thank you. Good meeting.